Hello fragrance buddies, it's me Bree back in my little kitchen. I wanted to whip up some candles for y'all today, but I figured I'd share some helpful info about them with y'all while I'm here. Candle making is a fun and interactive experience, but it's not always as easy as it looks. Things can go very wrong without seemingly any rhyme or reason, but there's usually a culprit hiding in there somewhere. One of the trickiest aspects of candle making is getting your fragrance load right. Fragrance is arguably the best part of any candle, but it can present unexpected issues when used incorrectly. So here's my guide for understanding fragrance loads and how to get the most out of your candles. If you take a look at many of our fragrances IFRA limits, you'll notice that most of them are marked as no restriction in category 11. This category is dedicated to candles, air fresheners, and other methods of fragrance delivery that don't involve direct contact with the product. Unlike soaps, lotions, and perfumes, there's no limit to how much fragrance you can use because it won't be used on your skin. But just because there's no restrictions on fragrances in category 11, that doesn't mean you should be dumping an entire bottle of fragrance into one candle. IFRA restrictions are limited by how much of a fragrance can be safely used in terms of irritation and allergens, not by its performance in a certain product. Candles with too much fragrance in them can burn improperly and present serious fire hazards. Way too much fragrance and your wax may not even set properly, leaving you with a goopy mess that will never solidify. So, how do you know exactly what percentage of fragrance to use in your candles? Well, it all comes down to your wax and candle type. Candle wax is made of tiny crystalline molecular structures. There are little pockets between these structures, which is where fragrance and other additives like dye settle in when it's added. These pockets vary in size depending on the wax type. Generally, straight paraffin wax has smaller pockets, whereas vegetable waxes like soy and coconut have larger ones. Also, certain additives like Vybar can change the molecular structure of a wax, allowing it to take in more fragrance. Many waxes available nowadays come pre-blended with Vybar and other additives that help increase fragrance load. Even with additives though, there is definitely such a thing as too much fragrance in a candle. If you overload the wax with fragrance, it won't nestle into the wax pockets properly, creating tiny pools of loose fragrance that aren't contained by the wax structure. Loose fragrance in a candle can spark, pop, and send hot wax flying everywhere. Yeah, not exactly my idea of relaxation, which is what you're looking for in a candle. To know exactly how much fragrance you're limited to in your candles, you'll need to check with your manufacturer's listing of the particular type of wax you're using. To know exactly how much fragrance you're limited to in your candles, you'll need to check with the manufacturer's listing of the particular type of wax you're using. Like I said, every wax is different, so there's no universal number to follow. Generally though, straight paraffin waxes with no additives can handle between 1 to 3% fragrance per total weight of the wax. Soy and other vegetable waxes, complete with special additives, can stand 8 to even 12%. Of course, you don't have to load this much fragrance into your candles. If your fragrance of choice is rather strong, you won't need as much as you would have using something lighter like citrus or herbal scents. The best way to really know what concentration of fragrance to use is through research and development. Stay within the recommended guidelines of the wax manufacturer and you'll be on the right track. Okay, but what do all these percentages mean? And how do you know what a 5% concentration of fragrance even is? I touched on it briefly, but fragrance load percentage refers to the amount of a product's total weight that is made up of a fragrance. So if a particular wax calls for an 8% fragrance load, that means your final candle will contain 8% fragrance and 92% wax. To figure out the actual weight of fragrance you'll need based on how much wax you have, here's a simple calculation. Convert your chosen fragrance load percentage into a decimal. You can do this by moving the decimal point over 2 spaces to the left. So the decimal form of 8% is, 0.08. Then multiply that decimal number by the weight of your wax. To make an 8-ounce candle with an 8% fragrance load, multiply 8 by 0.08 and you get 0.64 ounces. That means every 8 ounces of wax you can use 0.64 ounces of fragrance oil to stay within an 8% concentration. I know that's a lot of numbers, but I'll put the equation on the screen so you can use it as a reference. Every calculation will be a little bit different depending on the wax type and fragrance concentration you've selected. But getting this math under your belt will make it easy to know exactly how much fragrance oil you can use in your candles to get the best burn every time. Like I said, the best way to get the hang of it is through trial and error. Find out what works best for you. Stay within the safe limits of your wax type and you'll be good to go. If you have any more questions about this topic or candles in general, don't hesitate to drop them down below. I'd be happy to answer all your questions about fragrance and anything else. To get in touch with us, head on over to our socials. Subscribe to become a fragrance buddy and like this video for more content just like this coming your way in the future. Thanks for watching guys, and as always, stay scented my friends.